Well, good evening, everybody. It's Sunday the 26th of May. It's 10 o'clock. I'm shattered. I look like crap. I look like a sort of combination of stick of the dump and... yeah, I just look terrible. But that's fine. I mean, that just shows that I'm not a particularly vain person. I mean, nobody who was incredibly vain would potentially allow themselves to go on looking like this. But I just wanted to do a very, very quick video. I'm actually using YouTube's own recording suite. Most of the time what I've done is to use the QuickTime video software and then just sort of cut it, paste it, do all that sort of stuff and upload it to YouTube. I will say the one thing about having a beard is you can sit there and do this. And you know, that can be quite hypnotic actually at times. It's extremely satisfying. But anyway, what I thought I wanted to quickly talk about was next gen game consoles, because we've now had the reveal this week of the Xbox One. So we had, I think it was on Monday we had Tuesday I think we had Microsoft's huge reveal about their new console and their new entertainment system. So we now actually have had the two conferences. The one thing obviously we haven't had from Sony yet is we haven't had the box. We don't know what the box looks like, but actually I don't particularly care what the box looks like. That's of no particular interest to me. Huge amount of fuss was kicked up after the event saying, oh, we can't see the box, we can't see the box. I mean, who cares? It's a black box that's going to sit under your TV. I mean, what does that matter? I don't really. It was very strange actually. I thought when people were going absolutely berserk, saying, "Oh, we need to see the box." It's a box. It's a box. Anyway, but after that press conference, we are, I think, in a better position now to determine which of these products people are going to want to buy. And for my money, Microsoft probably have done their brand quite a bit of damage, because from what I saw on the Tuesday or the Monday, whatever it was, I think it was the Tuesday, there were two things that really came across. First of all, the entire sell of Xbox One, which by the name is a really stupid name. Xbox One? It's not a great name. I mean, what would have been wrong with Xbox 720? I think 720 would have been a great idea. Okay, even if it's not, it doesn't matter. The point is that once you've established a brand and you've established a way of naming things, actually to continue in that vein. So you've had the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PSP, PS Vita. And yet Microsoft have gone Xbox 360, Xbox One? How? I mean, what's the idea? The idea, I suppose, is that, it's the one-stop shop for everything. Well, yeah, but it just sounds stupid, and it's also going to confuse the hell out of people. For example, which PlayStation am I talking about? Oh, I'm talking about the PS4. Oh, you're talking about the PS4. Which one are you talking about? Xbox One. Now, to me, that implies the first Xbox, as opposed to the new generation of Xbox. You should have called it the next box. There we go. Yeah, right. You can have that, Microsoft. You should have called it the next box. That would have at least. Well, anyway, I just think it's a silly name. But that aside, there were a couple of things at the conference which I thought were genuine missteps. Huge focus on TV. Basically, what we were shown was a box that will sit between your cable or satellite. I mean, cable's an American term, but in the UK I would just effectively say a satellite provider, even if it's not satellite, and your television. And the idea is that you can integrate with all these services. I can already get Netflix on my PC. I don't particularly think that the idea of finding a control and pressing a button is a life-altering problem that I want to pay £400 to £500 for a box for. I don't particularly care about having to shout at something in order to do it, because you know what? And this is something that and they're still promoting Kinect, and Kinect is going to be in the box and all the rest of it. But here's the thing: if I pick up, why do I like BlackBerry more than iPhone? Despite the fact that this particular BlackBerry's operating system has been absolutely shot to pieces, and there are serious problems with the asynchronicity, for example, in relation to Ajax technology. However, we won't talk about that. But why do I like this? It's very simple. You see, if I want to send a text, there are these little things called buttons, and buttons ensure that I get the correct input. If I have a control pad, I will press a button. If I want to change the television, I will press a button. All this stuff about gestures, and it's all very Minority Reports, and I can throw and grab and all the rest of it. I don't care. I don't care what my mates are watching on television. If I want to search, I'll just use the button things. I mean, this is the thing. These are not, to my mind, genuine problems that you need to solve through the purchase of new hardware. Just silly. And the truth is that what Microsoft, to me, are trying to do is they're trying to get in the way of Apple before Apple releases what I'm sure will be ITV. Actually, they can't call it ITV because we have an ITV provider in the... Oh, that's a problem. Apple really probably don't like ITV. But anyway, or security company, I Spy. Anyway, but the problem for Microsoft is they're clearly trying to say, right, they're clearly preempting what they think Apple are going to do, which is to produce an Apple box that will do everything for you. Here's the thing: smart glass. Nobody's going to have smart glass. Nobody really has Windows phones. If you look at it, Samsung Galaxy is by far and away the largest of the devices. And even though Android overall is larger than iPhone, iOS as a software on its own, or Apple devices as a provider on their own, I would say is still the largest single provider of devices. So, and if I'm lying on the couch playing a game and I want to look something up, let's say I'm playing Skyrim or something like that, I'm just going to use the Mac. I'm just going to use this computer in front of me. I'm going to turn it, quickly type in, because again, it's got a decent keyboard. You can use Bing Internet Search. Yeah, but voice recognition software is still nowhere near as good as it needs to be. And with a keyboard, you can do this and you can enter the keys. Silly. Other things that have come out in recent days as well. I mean, on the day, there was so much poor messaging from Microsoft. For example, on used games. And let's deal with these problems, okay? So let's deal with Xbox Live, used games, internet connection. Xbox One is not always online. However, it will require a connection to the internet at least once every 24 hours. Why are they doing this? I reckon it's for advertising. I reckon it's because obviously they're going to have third parties who are going to be advertising on Xbox Live, so or Xbox Gold or whatever. I mean, for Xbox users, of course, you pay your service and you also get all these wonderful adverts. But obviously they need to have information about your click-through rates, they need to have information about what you're looking at, they also... Oh, by the way, another point, this bloody Kinect, if it's watching you the whole time, it will probably be able to tell what you're looking at on the screen. So when you pop an advert, oh, that's interesting, I hadn't thought about that. But there are companies, for example, I don't know, anybody who might know this, but for example, there are companies out there who, let's say you build a website, they will take it for you, and obviously they'll do heuristics on it, so they'll look at the user interface. But the other thing they can do is they can use software to track what people look at, so they can tell how people interact with your site. That's something the Kinect could quite easily do. So if the Kinect is always on and always watching you, oh, that's evil. One of the things it will, yeah, actually, that's interesting. One of the things the Kinect could then do, let's say you're sitting there and you're watching it, and an ad for, I don't know, McDonald's comes up on the screen. You barely give it a look. Let's say something for the new game from Ubisoft comes up, and you sit there and you look at it for a couple of seconds. Kinect will notice that, and that's part of the information it can then send back. I'm quite sure that when you sign the terms of use, if anybody has the time to read it, there will be a whole load of stuff about advertising and about tracking motions and about learning about your preferences and the ability to sell you extra and all the rest of it. That's why they want it. Yes, there's a piracy argument, I suppose, but the biggest problem, I think, is for the advertising revenues that they're going to get, because adverts are definitely going to be a way that Microsoft are going to be recouping on the initial loss of the install base, or the cost of getting the console, because they'll have to sell it at a loss, etc. This thing about used games, there is absolutely no reason to have to install the entire game on the hard drive. That is complete and utter bunkum. If you are doing that, why do you... Okay, the argument is, well, Blu-ray, haha, tee-hee, I hope Sony screwed them out of money for that. But this is hilarious to me. So let me get this straight. I buy a copy of an Xbox One game. I insert it into the console. That game is then all installed on the hard drive. and there is then a ping to the Xbox Live to say that this particular copy with this particular serial number is now locked to a certain account. Okay? If my mate wants to borrow the game, he has to pay a fee. Not even Apple do this. Apple, I have got movies and songs that my sisters have authorized on my iTunes because they just typed in their password. I cannot believe that Microsoft are actually going to go down this route. It's insane. Not even Apple have done this. And you know, and Apple are an evil, greedy corporation. Of course they are. They're a big corporation. But Apple give you like, what is it, 4 or 5 authorizations for a particular piece of content, and you can re-download it as much as you like. But Microsoft are basically saying that the idea of being able to pass a game around to your mate is now gone. I cannot believe they are doing this. I cannot believe that they are being this money grabbing. It's just sickening. And you know what? I'm glad that the PR's blown up in their face. This is a horrible thing to do, okay? Game sales are based on sales of the game, okay? We're not talking about pirating. We're not talking about people, you know, You're basically saying, I mean, it's the equivalent. It would be the equivalent of somebody gives me, you know, lends me their copy of Game of Thrones, and in order to watch the box set, I have to pay a fee to HBO. I mean, f off. How ridiculous can you be about content? And this is the arrogance of a company that assumes it's going to dominate the market. The whole press conference had a sense of, you are here to provide services for us and provide and we are basically we have basically got this large block of people who we can do whatever we want with because we know they're going to buy an Xbox One. So here's the NFL. It was a very American conference as well. You know, all of those cable services won't translate to Europe, which is why I think for what was a worldwide premiere I should say, Americanism, of a piece of hardware, and you only sell it to the US, I thought that was insane. I mean, it was like, and now you'll be able to watch your fantasy league on NFL. Great, if you're interested in NFL, but I bet a lot of people in America aren't interested in NFL, and nobody in the rest of the world gives a monkeys about NFL. So, yeah, that's an interesting reason to spend 400 quid on a console. 400 quid on a console so I can basically play fantasy league football. Right, okay, no. But the always online internet connection as well means that anybody living in an area without any internet connection will not be able to play it. The fact that every single game is going to require an automatic online registration again means if you don't have internet connection, you're screwed. Microsoft has basically turned itself, well, Xbox and the people behind Xbox are basically turning themselves into the Abercrombie and Fitch of the game industry. If you're not well moneyed, so that you can continually pay £60 to play any game, and it will be about £60, I would imagine we're going to get close to $80 to $90 for a game. So if you're not prepared, if you can't pay premium, because you'll never get discounts, there won't be any discounts, because if you try and buy it pre-owned, we'll charge you again. So actually, of course, buying pre-owned is going to cost you more, because you'll pay the pre-owned price, and then you'll have to pay the full price. So it kills pre-owned for Xbox One. There won't be any pre-owned. It's not backwards compatible. Okay, fine. That's, if you want to play Xbox 360 games, play Xbox 360 games. That's a non-argument as far as I'm concerned. I know a lot of people will complain, but be aware, of course, a little bit like when drugs come off the market. You know, you have like 10 to 15, obviously drugs. So what I'm looking for, patent for a drug is about 10 to 15 years, so you have about, and you given the fact it's about 10 years to market, that's 5 years of top dollar, and then after that you get generics. I have no doubt that Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 will continue to be supported, being aware, of course, that one of the biggest games in the world is going to come out on those consoles just before what we reckon are going to be the launch of the next gen. So GTA 5 is going to come out on PS3. GTA 5 is coming out on Xbox 360. A lot of titles are going to be coming out on those consoles. You've still got plenty of reason to do that, and with the focus going to the next gen, it's going to become open for cheaper developers, and I'm quite sure that the premium titles will be the next-gen titles, and rather in the same way that games that are now still being released for PlayStation 2 in parts of the world are much, much cheaper. But going back to the Abercrombie and Fitch, which is what Microsoft appears to have come, they've almost seemed to be saying, if you're not a certain type of gamer, we don't want you on our system. We don't want your money, or you know, you have to be of a certain level to play our system. And you compare that with Sony. Sony, who came out, and you had Mark Cerny come out and do a really, really interesting presentation on the. That's another thing about the Xbox presentation. Sod all on the actual hardware. There was very little about what the actual system specs are, which kind of confirms what I think a lot of people suggested, is the fact that the PS4 is actually more powerful and probably better built. Partly because Sony knew it had to do better this generation, you know, after the get an extra job to buy the PS3 in. And again, that's kind of where Microsoft is going. It's going to cost a hell of a lot to buy this system, to maintain this system, because I'm sure that the Xbox Live Arcade subscriptions will go up. I'm sure they're going to charge you for the nose for that. They're going to charge you through the nose for everything they possibly can, and you're going to have a lot of money to own and operate that console. And it is very much an exclusive club. But the used game thing, I just think is just so anti-consumer. Not everybody is going to be able to afford to play $60 or $100 or, you know, $70, $80 or 60 quid for a game. Okay, you're being a git. You're not acknowledging the fact that there are going to be people out there who don't have that kind of money to throw around. That's not fair. The game has already been bought. Okay, you got your share of the price when the game was bought. Okay, you got your money. We're not talking about pirated games where you haven't, you know, where you haven't been able to recoup the cost of development. You got your money. You're just trying to squeeze the consumer. Payment for something that has been already bought is complete and utter bunkum. Sorry. I mean, I cannot think of another game, of another software product which is released with one user license. I can't. Oh, apart from Microsoft products. So yeah, Microsoft are just expanding their single product. You know, you buy iTunes stuff, you buy Apple stuff, usually you get 3 or 4 licenses. Microsoft, 1 license. You want more? Pay more. Great. Brilliant. What a wonderful conference. And the fact that your PR teams were going out contradicting each other, the fact that I'm sure that evening you had a crisis management meeting of what the hell went wrong there, well, you created a crap system. You really thought people weren't going to revolt against the idea of being charged with pre-owned games? You thought people weren't going to revolt against the idea of constantly having to be connected to the internet? You thought people weren't going to revolt against the idea of just your horrendous kind of soot-encrusted, oh, and look at all these services we're providing, and we're partnering it. Oh, and the other thing, no games. No games. We had some CGI pre-rendered stuff. That's it. Compare that to the Sony conference. We had knack. Not only on the screen, but also playing on a Vita. We had Shadowfall. We had Drive Club. We had Watch Dogs. We had Bungie, Activision with Bungie coming out. You know, game. Yes, there are Netflix, but people don't buy a game console to watch TV. They buy a game console to play video games. And I'm sorry, all of that taken together, and I don't care about E3 now. I mean, I know people are saying, well, you know, it's only part 1, but it set a precedent, and it set a tone. And the whole point of the Sony event was, we're going out, we're going strong in games, we're telling you what you want, we are creating a box, and we're going to the hardcore and saying, look, here is a really, really powerful, optimized piece of kit to play fantastic next-gen games. We've got great developers out here, we've got great developers coming in, we've got indie titles. I mean, you know, Watch Dogs all looks great, but The Witness looks brilliant as well, and Jonathan Blow and that kind of thing. All that's coming in. Here is our ecology or environment or whatever we're going to call it, ecosystem. Do you want to be part of this? We've made it for you. Microsoft was, hey guys, you can pay money to watch NFL. it's a complete lack of understanding of what people actually wanted. It was a conference that was entirely designed to tell you what they were going to... It was a conference that was designed to tell you what they were going to be charging you for. Sony's conference was a conference that was designed to tell you what they've done for you to enjoy. It was a complete disaster. I can't believe, even going back and watching it now, I can't believe how bad that conference was for Microsoft. It was just crap. And no games. A tiny bit of CG footage of, you know, a next generation COD, which, by the way, actually doesn't look very good. Oh, this is a next gen engine. Take that next gen COD footage and compare it to the footage that we saw from Shadowfall, and tell me which is better. Or better than that, go and look at the David Cage demo at the PlayStation conference. What some people have... no, I won't make that joke, that's a horrible joke. But the old man head. Go and look at that and tell me whether those graphics are immeasurably better than what was shown at the Xbox conference. I'm sure it's a powerful piece of hardware. I don't think it's as good as the PS4. I don't think the services are as good. And I just think, from a design point of view, from a philosophical point of view, the idea of, as you know, as was said at the PlayStation conference, a passion for play versus a passion for dosh. And I think that was Microsoft's problem. Internally, I'm sure they were absolutely confident. They showed it to the world and everyone went, no. And it's going to hurt them. It will hurt them in sales. If Sony is able to make it so, even if it's not, even if there are, you know, there are the zingers that we haven't seen yet from Sony, which are going to bite us all in the ass, but by that time we probably won't notice. Even if that's true, Sony has managed to cast itself as the gamer's friend. And that is just going to sell so much. That's going to be so important for Sony. If they can sell themselves as the friend of the gamer, we want you to have a great, fantastic, affordable next-gen experience. You want to share a game with your friend? Fine. It doesn't bother us. Fine. You've paid your game. You want to share it with a mate? Fine. Because of course, if he borrows it and plays it and likes it, he might buy it, as opposed to being paid. This is the other thing. You then have to pay for it and decide you don't like it halfway through. You just wasted 60 quid. No. Look at the difference. Look at Sony's model. Look what the guy from Gaikai was talking about. Try everything, buy the things you love. If you try a game, you like it, you buy it. With Microsoft, you have to buy it before you can even try it. Stupid, 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 stupid Microsoft. Really bad press conference. Crap design in terms of the architecture. In terms of the back end, the server side stuff. But you know what? All that server side stuff can be rewritten. The hardware is in place. I would not be surprised, given the PR response to all of this stuff. Well, actually, I say that, but if the disk's going to have the key on them, that's probably already in place. I mean, most of the other stuff you could rewrite. Online passes and all that sort of stuff. That's just, you know, that's just ones and zeros moving in space. So, you know, you can rewrite that kind of stuff. You can alter it. Hardware, much harder. And if they've if the proprietary format has already been put into production, which I must believe it has, then those, you know, and the format, you know, and the machinery for creating the discs, bad, really bad. Anyway, I'm buying a PS4. I was always going to buy a PS4, but you know, I wanted to see the Microsoft conference to see whether or not I was making the right decision. Totally am. Not touching that piece of thing. X-Bone, as people are calling it. Yeah, this is a terrible system. PS4, FDW. Hope you have a great weekend, everybody. I'm still revising. After this, I'm going to do a bit more. Any comments, things, leaving it in the thing below. And I'll hopefully see you all soon. Take care.